together. Good morning, and we will go ahead and call to order our MAPS 4 Citizens Advisory Board meeting for August 1st, 2024. Item 2, items for individual consideration. A, approval of minutes. These are the minutes from our July 11th meeting. They were included in the packet. So are there any corrections, changes, modifications? If not, I'd take a motion and a second to approve. Please cast your votes. Give us just 1 second. Okay. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item 2B, receive the MAPS 4 monthly financial report ending June 30, 2024. Mr. Todd?
You have in your packet the financial report. Real quickly, on the revenue side for the month, $11,812,018. Fiscal year of $151,942,683, and a total of $559,106,123. On the expenditure side for the month, $572,658. Fiscal year of $46,933,302, and a total of $215,063,217. And I want to draw your attention to the 3.0% that we finally broke the 2.9. So 3% beyond projected accumulations.
And that doesn't even include the rest of summer's extra spending. So that's
right.
Fantastic. Any questions, Bob?
I just wanted to comment that I noted that increase from the 2.9 where we seem to have been stuck, and it's the kind of inflation I like, so it's good to see.
Great. Any questions? Okay. If not, I would take a motion in a second to receive the report. All those in favor, please cast your votes. Okay, the motion passes. Thank you. Now moving on to item 2C, team ownership discussion for the multipurpose stadium.
So you probably saw some of this in the paper on social media and wanted to make sure everybody was clear on what was going on. Darren, you started at subcommittee. You're going to start again today? So Darren Ransley is here to cover all this. So I'll turn it over to Darren.
Welcome, Darren. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic day. First of all, I want to send a message from Bob Funk Jr. He has been called out at the moment with express business. He's out of state, so he apologizes that he's not here. He's placed me in his position. My name is Darren Ransley. I am the Strategic Communications Director for Funk Companies. I have been involved with Energy FC since 2013, which is 1 year before the soccer team actually started play. So I have a good history of what has gone on for Energy FC, and I wanted just to quickly give you a brief on where we have been and where we're going. So Bob and I had a conversation last week, which was a story of history, today, and the future. And I want to give you just a very, very brief history on Energy FC. So back in 2013, I sat in a restaurant with Bob Funk Jr. and a group of other humans, and Bob said to us, "Who knows anything about soccer?" And I raised my hand and I said, "Well, Bob, I played in England at a competitive level when I was young." And he said, "That's fantastic. You're going to be one of our subject matter experts." And I said, "Okay, yeah, let's do this thing." So he then turned around and said, "We're in 2013, 2014. I want to put a team into a league called the USL Pro." And at the time, there was 13 teams in that league. We didn't have a geographic location to play. We didn't have a footprint. We didn't have a pitch. We had nothing. So we started from scratch. Bob turned around and he said, "It is a drive and direction for Oklahoma City to bring one of the fastest growing sports in the world to Oklahoma City. That's what we want to do." So we started the journey. And we started at Bishop McGuinness High School. Bishop McGuinness High School, about 3,200 seats. We brought in additional bleachers on the east side to make sure that we can see a field from both sides. We created everything from a training crew through to a management system, a coaching system. We brought in Coach Jimmy Nielsen, who was with Sporting Kansas City. He won the MLS. He was their goalkeeper. If anyone remembers the pink uniform, he was our coach. We brought him in. He brought drive and direction, and he brought new players. And we started the journey as Energy FC. When we looked in the crowd on that first day, our first home game, it was what we felt a sea of green. Green, blue, there were flags, there were scarves, there were people cheering. It was this passionate energy for a new sport in Oklahoma City. There were young, there were old, there were different races and ethnicities. Everybody was there. We were joined together. We did not score on that day. The second game was the first time we ever scored. And the energy that was inside that, what I'm going to class as a stadium, a high school, went from 10 to 150. It was this moment where people were hugging, they were cheering. It was energy, driven. That was our first season. We then involved Tim in conversations and also Donna Clark, Tim McLaughlin. We came together as a collective, and we now had a driving force for our team. We moved in our second and third season through to Taft, the historic stadium, which gave us 3,200 up to somewhere around about 5,000 or even 8,000 if we brought in additional seats. As our journey progressed forward, Taft gave us a great opportunity to bring in exhibition games. Exhibition games for us, we brought in Chivas from Guadalupe. They are a team in the Mexican League. They brought 8,000 fans to Taft Stadium. The red, white, and blue of Chivas, the green energy, the feeling of the sport being an international sport at that moment was a unifier for everybody inside that stadium. We did not win. We lost 1-0, but it was a great game. In fact, the players that came from Chivas, for an hour and a half, they stood in line with all of the fans signing autographs. The energy and the sport was phenomenal. During that season also, we made our first ever playoff game. When we came into the playoffs, we went to a penalty shootout. Penalty shootout at the end of the game, if the game is tied, there are 5 penalties for each team. We were told by the refereeing unit, do not invade the field if you win. Our goalkeeper was there. It was the last penalty. If he saved the penalty, we would go through to the next playoff round. Our goalkeeper saved the penalty. The first people to invade the pitch, Bob Funk Jr., his wife, Tim McLaughlin, and his wife. Straight on the field, we all followed. It was this momentous moment of success for Energy FC. We then started the conversation of where do we go in the future? We've been to Bishop McGuinness, we're at Taft. We need bigger, we need larger. We need our sport to fully wrap its arms around our Oklahoma City community. And then MAPS 4. We start the conversation with MAPS 4 with Bob, Tim, Donna, and obviously with Mayor Holt, City Manager, and David Todd. We had lots and lots of conversations of where is this location going to be? What would it look like? Is it going to go through a vote? And of course, in November of 2019, MAPS 4 was passed, 78%. We were one of the 16 chosen projects. Of course, it's a multi-purpose outdoor event venue, which means it's not just soccer, but it could be everything from live concerts to rugby to lacrosse. Every piece of programming that can go into this stadium, this multi-purpose outdoor event venue. So that is a journey of where we have been so far. We then moved through to, obviously, everybody was affected by a pandemic. Energy FC continued to play through the pandemic. We created social distancing plans. We also created the way to test each week to make sure that soccer was still part of everybody's life in Oklahoma City. Then we had a minor change through the USL, which was then the USL Championship. We had to request a waiver for field sizing. And unfortunately, we did not get the waiver for the field sizing. So at the moment, Energy FC is sitting in a short hiatus. But now we are in present day. So we're history, present day today. Our present situation is we have grown. Our ownership has expanded. We now have a new majority owner. And the gentleman's right here, Christian Kennedy. He is with Echo. It is a multi-strategic investment company. Bob and Christian have had numerous conversations about what we feel the landscape of soccer is for Oklahoma. what it looks like for Energy FC, what it looks like for the regular fan, what it looks like in a downtown area. How does this move forward? Christian is extremely passionate about the sport. He is passionate about all of the business that he is involved in. He gets the right people around the table. He is working with Bob and also with Prodigal and Energy, because Bob, Tim, and Donna are also still minority owners. Christian is the majority owner. So we're leaning into him to tell us where we are going. I know he's had numerous conversations with the city, and he's very, very driven. We, as in Prodigal and Energy, are fully supporting his direction. We want to make sure that we can grow the sport of soccer in Oklahoma City with his direction and obviously with the city. So without further ado, CEO and founder of Echo, Christian Kennedy. Thanks, Darren. I wanna welcome
Darren, thank you. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here. Before I begin and answer any questions, what I wanted to do is express some very much deserved thanks for, number one, Madam Chairperson and each member of this committee right now spending the time this morning to share with the news. Number two, the current Energy and the ownership of both Tim and Bob McLaughlin and their vision to get the team to this point. And last but not least, the mayor, the city of Oklahoma City, and all the citizens to see the dreams that this city really did deserve a world-class multi-purpose venue. So with that being said, we're very new in the ownership and just getting our arms around the asset, frankly. But what I will tell you is, from an investor standpoint, with soccer being the fastest growing sport in the world, and with Oklahoma City being one of the fastest growing cities in the country, as an investor, we wanted to say yes to this opportunity. So with that being said, I'm happy to open the floor up for any questions that you guys may have.
So, Christian, we see on the screen kind of is that the site plan, or you want to kind of walk us through that?
Yes.
Or is that premature?
No, this is perfect. Mark, if you could come up and answer some of those questions.
Thank you for your time here. Yes, that is the site that Christian has actually purchased that, and we're ready to deed over to the city. So, yeah, it's a little different than the original site that you guys have seen. The original site was 7.2 acres. It was in the middle of the development. We felt it was critical that we really master plan the entire acreage to ensure the success of the stadium. If you just put a stadium with nothing else around it, it's not going to be successful. So we had the 9 acres and we tucked it up to the highways, and then we're planning to develop all around the stadium in a mixed-use development.
Okay. Questions? Bob, anything from the venues committee?
We had a presentation from Christian and Mark yesterday at the venue subcommittee, and I think we were all just very impressed with where we are and excited about where we're going. I know there are details to be worked out in terms of the land acquisition, and that's an ongoing process, but the main side with the stadium has been acquired, and we're in the process, as I understand it, of working out the legal details of the donation of the property to the city so that we can build the arena. And the populace has already, I think, done some preliminary work on design, although that's had to await, the assurance that we have the site and know exactly how it's going to be situated. But it's all very exciting to see, and I have to confess I have been more of a football and basketball and softball fan, but I look forward to becoming a very keen soccer fan. European football or international football rather than American football. It's an exciting sport. Looking forward to having its continued presence in a new location downtown.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay. No, I would just say thank you for your continued investment, both of you, and Darren, and your company, the Funk companies, have invested significantly, both your time, talent, and wealth in this community, and it's a part of why we are where we are and where we're going. So thank you so much for loving Oklahoma City.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right, moving on to item 2D, the presentation on the art for the animal shelter.
So we'd like to keep you updated on what's going on with the art selection. Leandre Lattimore is here. He's from the Oklahoma City Planning Department and is very instrumental in all of the art selections.
Wonderful, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, my name is Leandre Lattimore. I'm the project manager for the Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs. We're really excited about this project and to be able to show you what we have coming up. So just to outline a couple of the project goals, and to clarify, this is something that we thought was very important. And when we do our projects, we like to make sure that we're very intentional with enhancing the space that the artwork is in. So for this project, we'll have a $310,000 art award, and we think that it's most appropriate to dedicate the entire art award to a single entity. Sometimes we have large art awards where we may break it up and do different projects, but for this one, we wanted something that was very large and impactful, something that would sort of represent a landmark near the site. So as you can see here, one of our project goals is a three-dimensional sculpture, as I mentioned, something strong and impactful, and also something that reflects Animal Welfare's mission to promote and protect the health, safety, and welfare of pets and people in Oklahoma City. So this is something that's very important to us as well. And then also illustrating the human-animal bond. So when we met with the facilitators at Animal Welfare, that's something that they mentioned. And they also mentioned how it would be important to have artwork that reflects their full capacity of services. Typically, when a lot of people think about animal welfare, they may only think about cats and dogs. Well, they communicated to us that, of course, their capacity as a facility caters to many more animals other than just cats and dogs, and that's something that they would like to see reflected into the artwork. So as you can see here, we have an example of a large sculpture. This is a 30-foot tall sculpture in New York, done by artist Donald Lipsky. So this is sort of something that we have in mind when we're envisioning something that's great and impactful. And we think that with this art award and with the large amount of artists that we have that will hopefully apply to this, we think we'll get a very impactful work. So just to tell you a little bit about where we'll actually be located, this is the site plan for the animal welfare facility. As you all may know, it sits on the current site that Animal Welfare currently is. So to the top of the screen there illustrates where the new building will be located. And if you look slowly to your right, that small yellow box there will be where the artwork will be located. Now, it looks small here on the map, but the space itself is actually 20 feet by 20 feet, so it's actually a relatively large space, and it will also be conduit to that site. So if we have an artist that proposes something with any sort of electrical component, as long as it fits within the budget, they'll be able to do that. This is just another image of the site. As you can see there, that's the new facility, and just right to the left will be where the artwork will be located. And this is just another image to give sort of a better example of what we're discussing. So I'll talk a little bit about our selection process. If you're unfamiliar with it, as I mentioned before, it's highly collaborative. So when we put together our selection committees, we think it's important that we have a lot of stakeholders involved with different perspectives. So this list is typically what we may include to our selection committee, but it's not limited to this. An arts commissioner, a professional art consultant is usually someone that we bring in as a professional artist to help give guidance and instruction to the rest of the committee in terms of helping them view certain perspectives with artwork and proposals and things of that nature. We also have MAPS for a subcommittee member that will be present on the committee. Animal welfare staff, again, we want them to be involved with this process, as of course they'll be the ones that will see the artwork and engage with it the most. And then we also, of course, include any other relevant community stakeholders, people that we think will be very important to the process in helping us determine the artwork that's most appropriate. We also like to include the architects, engineers, any other project managers onto the committee that will be able to help provide relevant information to the artists when they're considering their proposals. So to the right, I have a sample timeline, and as you can see, I have 3 lines there that are highlighted. Those are the 3 important meetings that we have. Our first selection committee meeting is when the committee meets and we review all of the submissions from artists. Again, these calls are open internationally, so any artist in the United States and outside of the United States can apply and be considered for this project. After that is done, we usually select 3 to 5 finalists, and those finalists will then travel to Oklahoma City, and they will then meet, which is our mandatory site tour. So they will come and meet with us, and the committee, architects, engineers, will all actually gather at the site of the location to discuss the project. Of course, we'll go over the project goals, and that's when they have an opportunity to interact directly with the selection committee and everyone else in terms of getting valuable information and also understanding what everyone is seeking with the artwork. So from that point, they'll have at a minimum of a month, it may be longer than that, to then prepare their proposals for the selection committee. And that's when we'll meet, which is what our final presentations and selection is. They'll then present their proposals to the selection committee, and from that point, the committee will determine the artwork that they believe is most appropriate for the site. From there, we have Arts Commission review and then City Council authorization. And then once it's approved by City Council, we can then, of course, give the artist their notice to proceed, and they will proceed to work on the project. So that, in a nutshell, describes sort of our process and what we look forward to do with this project. I'm more than happy to answer any questions from you all.
Any questions? I will say I was fortunate enough to be a part of the art selection process for the Scissortail Park. It's really a lot of fun. If you ever have the opportunity to serve on that, it really is a lot of fun, and the commission does a fantastic job of stewarding. So thank you so much for being here and for this update. I'm excited to see what is selected.
Thank you. We're excited as well. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 2E, recommend approval of change order number 1 for the MAPS 4 sidewalk and related amenities, Phase 1A, for an increase of $19,769.
So remember, this is our sidewalk project that's under construction right now. It seems like no matter how many meetings we have and whatever lengths we go to, there's still something comes up. And because that this area is a historical area, the new concrete comes out for years as being just bleach white, and it doesn't match with the concrete that's in the area. And they've asked us to put some color into the concrete to have it more of a gray color than the white that it starts off with. And then on the same note, instead of using the red panels that go in, what we call the truncated domes, the tactile bumps that are at wheelchair ramps, instead of using those fiberglass bright red ones that stay bright red, they've asked us to go back to the cast iron ones that will rust and kind of blend in with the neighborhood.
Yeah, I like it. Any questions? Okay. If not, I'd take a motion in a second to approve. Please cast your votes. The motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item 2F, progress report on the MAPS 4 bus stop improvements, Phase 1.
So I'd like to point out how flexible and dynamic the MAP staff is.
Yes.
Our consultant couldn't make it this morning, so Todd Woodward, our assistant director and construction manager, is going to do the presentation.
All right, Todd.
All
I
right.
hope you've seen it.
Nothing like showing up to a meeting and saying you get voluntold to do something. Appreciate it. Thank you, board and Madam Chair and David, thanks. So we have before you today a construction update for our bus stop project. This is Phase 1 of Phase 2. As the implementation plan says that Phase 1, we're going to have about 250 stops. For this portion, we have 140. So we're going to go into the presentation. Just a reminder that we are installing 8, 12, and 16-foot wide shelters, depending upon the number of daily stops and ridership at that. And at each one of these stops, they're going to get a shelter, new ADA accessible paved pad, sidewalk connections, a light, trash can, and bike rack. This is a chart that shows where we took this information from Embark. They gave this to us, and it shows how the ridership was identified. You can see that there's only 3 of the top 250 that have over 20 riders a day. They'll get that larger shelter, the 16-foot. And then there's 12 of these, the projects that we're working on, there's 12 of them that'll get the 12-foot shelter, and then the rest of them are all 8-foot shelters at 125. So if you recall, back in April, we bid the flat work only. This is not the shelter or the installation of the shelter. We got Atlas Paving as a low bidder. They're actively out working to install. We gave them a notice to proceed back in April, and we expect them to be done with the concrete work later this year, right before the end of the year. So our budget for Phase 1 was a little over $4.3 million. With that Atlas price of $926, we're still in the process of acquiring some right-of-way. We've got some under contract, but still a little bit left to do. We estimate that at $280,000. We're using an Embark contract that they keep in their tool chest to say that where they can buy these shelters directly from the manufacturer, procure them directly. They bid the work, and we're able to use that. So we're going to purchase for a little over $1.8 million all of the bus shelters and bike racks and everything that comes in that package. And then Tyler Media also has an annual contract with Embark that we can use to install them. And that's $1,000 a piece. We've got 140 in this package. So the sum of all of that is $3.16 million. And subtracted from our budget, we still have a little over $1 million left. So our little triple asterisk at the bottom there is supposed to be on that $1.1 million, which says we are going to amend as we get a little further along into the process. We're going to amend Atlas's contract and keep on adding to the 140. So hopefully we can get up near that 200 mark is what we're kind of pushing for under this Phase 1. This is a contractor map. It's not a ward map. I just want to make sure that's clear. So after awarding to Atlas, they identified Zone A through Zone F, and it's basically how they are going to send their crews out and work. Currently, Zone A, they've got 3 completed, 14 completed in Zone D, and 1 completed in Zone F, for a total of 18. They're about 13% complete so far. So they're early. It's early in the process, and they're working through these zones as they complete stops. The right-of-way acquisition that I spoke about earlier, the current status of that is we currently have 27 of them negotiated, and we're working on getting those finalized. We've got 6 that we're going back and forth with, and there's just 16 of them that have just come back and said they're opposed to us putting the shelters in there. We will continue to work with them. Really don't have much more of an update other than that right now. But we haven't given up on them. We're still talking. Potentially, we can shift them a little ways this way or a little ways that way. It's a process working with Embark, property owners, and our contractor. So just some updated pictures on the work that's being done. We're on 8th Street and 32nd Street here. Some of the sidewalks that connect the bus stops to a nearby intersection. And completed. You'll see the completed sidewalk that leads up to this pad. This is 2 photos, same stop, just from different vantage points. Same way completed. And if you'll notice at the bottom there, there's about a 4-inch round cast, a bronze medallion that we cast in every one of our stops to just kind of put our signature that it was done under this program. So something everybody's proud of. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions, being put on the spot from.
Good job, good job. Nimble on your feet.
Thank you.
I was just curious, what do you think our average right-of-way cost is per stop?
It's expensive.
Roughly?
It's $5,000.
Thank you.
That's close.
Right. Thank you.
That doesn't include the cost, though, for acquiring it also.
It's mostly the cost of hiring a third party to go out and do the back and forth with the owner. But I think that number will kind of cover everything. It's around $5,000.
Thank you.
Bob?
Yeah, Todd, is the plan to install the shelters as the pads are completed?
Great.
Or are you going to wait to do the
Great question. We're stacking them up a little bit, so we expect around October that we'll start getting our shipments of the shelters, and Tyler will come right back behind them and start installing them immediately. So we'll have hopefully half the pads done when the shelter installation starts. But great question.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions, comments? Okay, great.
Thank you.
Well done. All right, moving on to item 3, discussion items. Mr. Todd, do we have anything?
We don't have anything else today.
Okay. Item 4, subcommittee reports. Any subcommittees have a report for us today? No? Okay. Moving on to item 5, update status on the entire MAPS 4 program.
So Coliseum continues to go well. There was a tour given. I don't know if any of you managed to make that, but it was on the news. All the media was there. Everybody's really excited, but like I said, it's going really well, on schedule. Diversion Hub is scheduled to bid in 2 weeks. So we're excited to get that
Yes.
going. As you saw, the bus stops are under construction. We got sidewalks under construction, as I mentioned during that change order. Bike lanes are in design, and you'll soon be seeing plans for that. There's a whole lot of things you're going to see plans for here soon. A lot of stuff in design, animal shelter, Palomar's still out there, so everything's going well.
Great. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Thank you for the update. Moving on to item 6, information item. Do you want to just talk about that?
Right, so put in here as an information item so that you'll know about a resolution that council passed. So typically, in the implementation plan, council gives us projects and budgets, and it's usually all split out. This is one thing that came kind of lumped together, 2 different projects with one budget in there, and what this was to do is to clarify the budget between the Cameron Park and the South Lakes Park. So council took this on, passed this to further clarify what we are supposed to do, and it's attached into your packet if you want to see it, but I just wanted you to know that this was done. We had the engineer on board, and that was the sticking point as to how this was going to be divided. Now that we have an answer on that, he's been released, so they are
We can move forward.
full on working on the design
Good.
on that, and hope to bring you an update in the next meeting or 2.
Okay, great. Yeah, we've needed this, so thank you, Councilman, for getting this moved across the finish line so we can start working on these projects. Okay, any comments or questions on that? Okay, moving on to item 7, comments by board, staff, and citizens. Do we have any citizens signed up? No. Anything from the staff?
No, ma'am.
Okay, any comments from board? Okay, I'll just say happy summer. We are full on in summer, and stay cool and stay safe and try to find air conditioning. Moving on to item 8, adjournment. We are adjourned. Thank you all for being here.